When I first arrived into Snape's diary, imagining the world of Hogwarts through his eyes, I did so as an experiment, a way to give voice to a character who always seemed shrouded in silence. As I pieced together his thoughts during Harry's first year, something unexpected happened. I found myself drawn deeper into his perspective, understanding him not just as a man defined by his choices, but by the weight of the world he lived in. That first video became more than just a fan project. It felt like discovering a hidden passage in a familiar place, layers of the story we all know, but seen through a darker, more nuanced lens. And as I finished it, I realized that this exploration could not end there. Each year of Harry's life at Hogwarts was marked by new dangers, new revelations. How could I not continue? How could I resist the urge to open that diary once more, to trace Snape's journey as it winds ever closer to its inevitable end? This second chapter, Harry's second year, is another step down that path. The mystery of the Chamber of Secrets, the fear that gripped the school, the shadow of Salazar Slytherin, it all shapes the way Snape watches, the way he moves through the corridors, guarding secrets of his own. And through it all, his relationship with Harry deepens, shifting from contempt to something far more complicated. So once again, I open that diary, turning its pages, following the thread of thought that runs through Snape's mind. And with it, we step back into the shadows of Hogwarts, seeing the familiar through eyes that notice every flaw, every detail, and every bitter truth. The Flying Car, September 3rd, 1992. It should no longer surprise me, the ways in which Potter defies expectation. And yet, here I find myself, once again, confronted by his boundless capacity for recklessness. A flying car. He arrives at the castle not by train, not by the means every other student adheres to, but by a flying car, brazen, as if the world were his to command. The audacity of it is staggering. A child soaring through the skies with little thought for the laws that bind us. Laws meant to protect us all from the curious eyes of muggles. As if he alone stands above such things. As if the rules do not apply to him. It reminds me of his father seemed to move through life with a sense of entitlement, a belief that the world would bend to his will. But Potter, there is something different about him. Beneath the surface arrogance, there lies a weight, a seriousness that I did not see last year. Something has changed. He's not the boy I thought he was, though he remains reckless, heedless of the dangers he invites. There is a gravity to him now, a quiet tension that did not exist before. Perhaps it is the shadow of last year's events still clinging to him. Or perhaps it is something deeper, something even he cannot name. When I punished him, when I scolded him, he did not react as his father might have, with insolence, with bravado. No, he was silent. He stood there, absorbing it all, as if he were listening, truly listening, to the weight of the words. I find myself unsettled by this. He is still far too reckless, still far too blind to the dangers that surround him. And yet, I cannot help but watch him more closely now. There is something in him that stirs, something I cannot yet define. A flying car, such arrogance, such foolishness. But perhaps, beneath it all, there is more to this boy than I've allowed myself to see. The Dueling Club, December 17th, 1992. There are moments when silence carries more weight than words, and today, I felt that silence settle upon the castle like a thick, unwelcome fog. It clung to the air, heavy, suffocating. The moment Potter opened his mouth, it spread, an ancient language, twisting through the air, curling around the room like smoke from a dying fire. Parseltongue. I have heard it before, long ago, spoken by lips far more dangerous than his. Yet, to hear it again, from the mouth of a child, no, from the mouth of Harry Potter, brought with it a disquiet I cannot easily set aside. The snake listened, of course. They always do. But it was not the snake's response that mattered. It was the silence that followed, the collective intake of breath, the fear that rippled through those who bore witness to it. The boy stands on a precipice, though he does not yet see it. There is darkness within him, and it stirs with each passing year, each reckless act. And now, the castle knows it too. They watched him today, not as their hero, not as the boy who lived, but as something else, something other. The rumors spread like a wildfire caught in the winds of winter. He is the heir of Slytherin. He is the one behind the attacks. Absurd, perhaps, but the power of fear is far greater than the power of reason. And what of the boy? Does he even understand what he has done? Does he know the weight of the language he speaks so easily? This connection to serpents, it is not a gift bestowed upon the light-hearted or the innocent. It is a mark of something far older, something that lies beneath the surface of history itself, bound to bloodlines and the shadows of the past. Potter, for all his ignorance, cannot escape what he is, nor the darkness that coils around him, waiting, always waiting. Dumbledore, of course, remains serene, ever the watchful eye in the storm. But I know better. This is not the calm of ignorance. It is the calm of someone who has seen too much, who knows what waits in the shadows, yet chooses to say nothing. He leaves the boy to wander in the dark, while I must stand guard, ever vigilant, waiting for the inevitable fall. Potter's journey is far from over, and each step he takes draws him closer to the edge. I fear, however, that when he reaches it, he will not fall alone. After the Chamber of Secrets, July 1st, 1993. The castle stands empty now, its halls hollow and silent, as though holding its breath after the chaos of another year. The Chamber of Secrets, a legend long whispered in Slytherin circles, its very name enough to conjure visions of dark triumph, has been opened, and yet it was not the heir of Slytherin who prevailed. It was Harry Potter. Once again, he has defied every expectation. A boy who speaks Parseltongue, but is not born of the serpent's blood. A boy whose lineage seems divided between light and dark, standing at the center of a legacy he neither asked for nor understands. And yet, as before, he survives, as if fate itself bends around him. What would the founder of my house have thought? Of Harry, of me, of all that has transpired within these walls? Slytherin's vision was pure, at least in the minds of those who still cling to the ancient divisions between magic and blood. But I wonder if even Salazar himself could have foreseen the poison that ideology would sow, the divisions that would continue to fester long after his time. He believed in the strength of magical blood, in the purity of the line. But what is purity if not a fiction, an idea shaped by fear and pride? I have seen this pride warp minds, twist loyalties. I have seen the hatred it breeds, and I have stood, year after year, among those who still believe in the old ways, those who cling to the notion that one's blood determines their worth. I once thought as they did, blind, angry, desperate for power that seemed always out of reach. I was not born into greatness. I had to carve it out, bit by bit, in the shadows. But now I see what that pride cost me. Lily. Her name drifts into my thoughts even now, though I promised myself I would not speak of her here. Yet, how can I reflect on the legacy of blood and magic without remembering her? She was everything that Slytherin's ideals denied. Muggle-born, yet brilliant beyond measure, her magic more powerful than many purebloods could ever dream. And what did it matter? In the end, what did her blood have to do with the light she carried within her? It is easy to hate, to draw lines in the sand and say, this is where we stand. But the truth is more complicated, more bitter than any ideology. Blood does not define us, our choices do. And yet, I remain tied to Slytherin's house, to the ghosts of its legacy. I must uphold its traditions, its standards, even as I see how hollow they truly are. Harry will never understand the complexities of this world, not yet. He will see only the surface, the betrayal, the lies, the ancient prejudices that have shaped his fate since before he was born. He will not know the weight of the history that binds him, nor the darkness that surrounds the House of Slytherin. He is young, too young to understand the battle he is truly fighting, not just against those who would do him harm, but against the very ideas that have shaped our world for centuries. The chamber is sealed once more. The school is safe. But the questions it raised, the questions about who we are, where we come from, and what we believe, will linger long after the echoes of the serpent's hiss fade away. And as for me, I remain as I have always been, watching from the shadows, walking a line that grows thinner with each passing year. I wonder if, in the end, there is a place for someone like me in the world that is coming. A world where Harry Potter stands at the center, defying the very laws that men like Salazar Slytherin believed immutable. Perhaps in time, I will know. As I bring this second year to a close, I am reminded once again of why this project began. There is something haunting about revisiting these moments, seeing them through the eyes of someone who has spent his life on the fringes, both watching and shaping the events around him. In Snape's silence, in the private thoughts he never shared, there is a raw humanity, a struggle that is as personal as it is profound. This second year was marked by fear, by the whispers of ancient legacies, and the scars left by a history that clings to every student, every house, every corner of Hogwarts. And through it all, Snape remains the observer, the protector, the man who knows too much, but says too little. As we move forward into Harry's next years, this journey will only become more intricate. The stakes will rise, the shadows will deepen, and Snape's role in Harry's life will shift in ways neither of them could foresee. And I will be there, once again, uncovering the hidden thoughts, the untold stories, the moments that shape both of their fates. This is not just a retelling of events, but a way to understand one of the most complex characters in the world of literature. A man defined by his choices, his regrets, and the secrets he carried to his grave. So, I invite you to join me as we continue, year by year, through the pages of this diary, uncovering the pieces of Snape's story that have always been there, waiting to be told.